Está Eric.
No hay sonido.
Ah, no somos los únicos.
I got this brand new record in the mail today.
Okay, let's start. Hello and welcome to the official launch of El Barrio Project-SALSA.
Okay, let's start. Hello.
I am Alfonso, director and host of the show Tenemos que hablar, airing at Nuestra Tele Internacional and entertainment journalist for NTN 24. It is a privilege to host this music event presenting this incredible album by Pablo Mayor and his band Folklore Urbano. Musicians from Latin America, Puerto Rico, West Africa, and Latinos living in the United States have gathered to pay tribute to East Harlem, El Barrio, the birthplace of salsa. Tonight, to talk about El Barrio Project-SALSA, we have Pablo Mayor, a Cali Colombian-born pianist, composer, producer, and arranger who has dedicated his life to promote Colombian and Latin music in the world. This is his fourth baby. His partner in crime is Ana Mayor, manager, and a flutist for Folklore Urbano, managing director. Ruben Rodriguez is the principal bassist on El Barrio Project. He was born and raised in El Barrio and has played and recorded all over the world with some of the most iconic names in salsa. Next is Cruz de Jesus Chino Melao, percussionist, band leader, and composer. In the 70s, he created El Conjunto Melao. Also, we will hear from Orchestra Abrantes, a percussionist that at the age of 14 opened for Gilberto Santa Rosa at Carnegie Hall, and today is known as El Rey del Timbal. Some of these musicians started really, really early. Laurent Hounsavi began his career as a singer when he was 7. He was born in the Republic of Benin, West Africa. His songs with lyrics in several Beninese languages, as well as Spanish and French, have been featured in international music festivals, radio programs, and several recordings. Also a vocalist in this album, Deborah Resto grew up in the South Bronx and attended St. Jerome's School, which is located only 2 blocks from the studio where El Barrio Project was recorded. She's a crossover singer who performs R&B and Latin music and is also a music teacher. From Puerto Rico, we have Jainardo Batista, whose interests range from folkloric music such as la bomba, la rumba, el guaguancó, el changüí, and la columba, as well as son timba, and of course, salsa. Last but not least, we will say hello to one of the executive producers of this work. Nick Chavarria met Pablo during his time as a teacher at the Boys and Girls Harbor. The Latin music institute that inspired the creation of this album. Before we start, a few words about Folklore Urbano. This is a project that finds continuity in a mission that serves to gather people and artists of all backgrounds to understand and celebrate cultural origins and to bring joy through the power of the arts, creating hashtag global music to unify. Please, everybody that is with us now, please keep in mind that at the end of this conversation, we will have a Q&A. So please feel free to type in your questions for the musicians. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we will start. We're going to start with Pablo. As a Cali Colombian born, obviously, your background sets you up for being a salsa musician. However, your first 3 albums were entirely focused on Colombian folkloric rhythms and producing a salsa album. And yes, what is your history playing, writing salsa music, and how did you come about producing a salsa album at this point in your career?
Hello, everyone. Welcome. To answer this question, it had to do with the fact that I taught for many years. All my life in New York has been working in El Barrio, not only teaching, but also being part of the community. I work in an institution for Latin music called Boys Harbor, which Latin program was stopped in 2016, and it was time for me to leave. And then, inspired by that, with the desire to talk about El Barrio, that's where the whole project started. So this is something that has been cooking for many years, and it is a time to talk about it.
Pablo, I want to go into that aspect because I understand that what really triggered the creation of the album was the closing of that institute, right?
It didn't close, but the Latin program did close.
Okay. All right. Anna, there is something that we have to mention unavoidably, and is the fact that we are through the pandemic, and this is a time in which we need this concept of unity. We need this understanding that we all are one, and music here takes a very, very important role. Please tell me about that.
Well, yes, you're right, Alfonso. This is a lot of the reasons, the timing behind this release and sort of the way we've done things. El Barrio Project-SALSA was going to be coming out, and then the pandemic hit, and so many things changed in our world, and it made us decide to do things a little differently. And it drove us to create the video of the first single, which we released back in September, which is Black is Beautiful, because of its message of global unity. And we created a video that really pushed this message out there at a time when we really believe it's
I really like that in the video there's participation of people from all over the planet. And it was something, as soon as it came, I was so happy to see those voices, those sounds all together. We were so isolated. And that video, I'm sure that was accomplished with a lot of difficulty, right? Anna?
Yeah, you know, it's the world of iPhones and doing what we can do. And it's basically, the footage is collected from people on the street and their homes, in Times Square, and it is what it is, and it's a beautiful reflection of this time in history, and it definitely lends for a very particular character I think we appreciate right now.
Let's move to Ruben, born and raised in El Barrio, and this is a connection. It's this album represents many things. Please tell me, how would you describe El Barrio? Because I think that is a very important character in your life, and I think that this album means something high there for you, right?
Well, yes. And to answer your question, how to describe El Barrio for me is home. I was born and raised there. You know, many people know also know it as Spanish Harlem, East Harlem, and a lot of great music luminaries are from there. Tito Puente was born there, for example, and you know those are heavy influences for me. You know, but when I was growing up, there was a lot of music in the streets, and that's what kind of drew me into the Latin music scene. You know, there was all kinds of music. You know, there was whatever top 40 was at the time in the 70s when I was growing up, R&B, rock, everything. But mainly Latin music and specifically salsa. And you know, to be invited to be part of this is it was great. It was an honor for me. I thank Pablo, who we worked together at different projects before, and then you know, I guess I know some of the other folks. I know Resto was really young. Some people I met on this project, Deborah and I, we worked together in the past also. So it was a lot of fun for me. It's a lot of fun to be part of this.
As a concept, this album represents what we have been mentioning before, the global idea that we all can communicate through music. Salsa has a power, a special sound that makes people react to it viscerally. We want to dance, we want to move when we listen to it. What is, according to you, and from your perspective, something about this album that features that ability of salsa?
Was that to me?
Yes.
Oh. What? I wasn't paying attention. What was the question again?
The question is about like we have been talking about the power of music, but salsa has a special power that is very different from other genres, and is the fact that you listen to it and your body needs to react to it. And so in the specific project, what about salsa makes it more special?
Well, because we're all together doing it. And any kind of music really makes people shake, you know. Our music more than others because of the drums,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in my opinion. You know, basically, you know, it's a music to dance. It's a party music. So you know, everybody, people that listen to it, and there's people that analyze it and whatnot, but most people just get up and dance because it's a dance music.
Laurent, you are in France. Thank you very much for being with us because it's super late for you.
Thank you, Alfonso.
And it's very interesting that your path has taken you from different parts of the world, West Africa, Paris, and you make a connection of your music. There is something, there's a common ground with salsa. Tell me about that, your contact with salsa, and how do you explain your ability to fit in so well with salsa?
So I can say that I was born in one of the greatest nation of salsa in Africa, who is the Benin Republic. Benin Republic is the place where slaves went from to Cuba with their culture, their rhythms, and the way of life. So they brought the clave music, who is the basis of the salsa and Afro-Cuban music. They brought it there. And it's from Benin. In my country, everybody knows what is la clave, but we don't call it clave, even if it's our traditional music, something like that. So I can say that I grew in a great salsa nation. Also in the 70s, because of the embargo to Cuba by the United States, the biggest outlet for Cuban music in the 70s was West Africa, and especially in Benin. So I grew dancing and listening to salsa music. That was my first meeting with salsa music.
That is incredible. I think that what calls the attention from what you're saying is that all over the world we have things in common. We call them by different names, but at the end of the day, there is so much that connects us, right?
Absolutely. So in Cuba, the first music salsa is not called salsa. It's like something like son cubano or danzón at the base, basically. And in New York, when salsa was born in New York, it's from Cuban rhythms. So in Benin, for example, we don't say salsa, we say a gozar, like a gozar. Okay, so in France, we say a salsa, or some people say pachanga. So it's according to the part of word we are.
Hello, Deborah. Thank you so much, Laurent. Deborah, hi, how are you? We cannot hear you. Now we can.
Oh,
how's everything?
Okay. Good. Aquí en el frío.
Tremendo. So we are, I was talking to Laurent, you also do voice, but you have been doing salsa and R&B, and every type of music demands something different from your instrument. I want to know, with salsa, what is the specificity of it? What that is the demand from you that other genres don't have? Tell me. The
Other
genre.
generations don't have,
Like
did you say?
When you perform R&B, your instrument has to do something different.
Right.
In salsa, what is that is different when you perform?
Right. Well, if you're singing a salsa solo, you know, if you're a soloist, a sonera, that to me would be the hardest part, kind of, because I mean, I found that if I have a gig like once a week or twice a week and I have to soñar, it comes easier. But when you don't do it for a long time, it's kind of difficult, because, you know, that's a very inspiración, like right at the moment kind of thing. Vocally, of course, you have to be stronger. So it seems like salsa is a very calle kind of sound, and I don't know, I'm like a cross of calle elegance. You know, I just can't get rid of the long gown and the gloves part of myself sometimes. Oh, you know, Pablo.
Any style. She can do any style.
Pablo and Nick have to really, you know, they really push that part of me. You know, they'll say calle, más calle, you know. I try really hard to, you know, come out with that. But you know, it's just the sort of thing that the more you do it, the more active you're in it, you know, the easier it comes for you. And then growing up in New York, you know, you're hearing everything. You're hearing R&B, you're hearing salsa, you're hearing Brazilian, you're hearing boleros, and I had an equal problem with R&B, because growing up as a little girl in New York and hearing la radio hispana, you know, it's a whole other sound from a Black voice, you know, gospel voice. So, you know, they used to make fun of me, you know, like if I sang Over the Rainbow, they would say, oh, sing that song, Dorothy. Me decía. Like I would sound too blanquita. So I had to learn. I had to really, really learn. And of course, you know, it's in the blood. So eventually it comes out. But it's been very interesting. And then Brazilian, I also sing Brazilian music. That's a whole other It's a whole other thing you have to do with your voice.
Another set of skills, right?
Yeah, it's a whole other thing.
Okay, thank you. Jainardo, good evening. How are you? Please tell me about the when I was talking about your credentials, I mentioned folkloric music, and I mentioned some of those rhythms or sounds, and I want to know where is salsa, as salsa may have some of those as ingredients to be folkloric music.
You were talking about the folkloric elements inside salsa music. Well, as far as I know, if we're going to talk about those folkloric elements, and we have to mention the drum. Well, as far as I know, and as far as I have learned through the years, like what we call the conga drum, like this drum right here that Nick have, it has different names. Some people call it tumbadora, some people call it jicamo, some people call it. All I know is that and I have heard that it comes from a family of drum called engoma, like from the Congo and all of that. So those type of drums, I mean, these drums particularly, like what we call conga drum, as far as I have read, and I remember it was introduced into son music, which is like the roots of what we know salsa right now. It was introduced by Arsenio Rodriguez. And then, from there, this drum is particularly used like for traditional ceremonies in Cuba, like palo, for example.
Wow.
And it comes like from that family of rhythms. Even the basic tumbao can sort of, be like, it slightly comes from the folkloric side of Cuba, modified for the salsa or son.
It's very exciting. Nick, hi. I know that you have met Pablo and that you have been an inspiration and that you have been very important in the creation of this album. And I want to know, what has it meant for you to have this album out today?
It's very exciting for me. We have put a lot of work into this. We put our heart into it. We put our creativity into it. So it's very exciting to see the music hit the streets, so to say.
Okay. And now I want to just get into the details of how this was created, this album. And so, Pablo, to reunite this group of artists, how did it happen? What connected with what? How was the creation of the songs?
It happened very organically. It started with actually the first person that I met was Nick on 99 when I arrived in New York, and I ended up in Boys Harbor, and a friend of mine, a bass player, introduced me to him, Hensi Perez, and we play a gig. I got to hear his music, and I always appreciated it. Found very fresh ideas. Then life took us, and years later we met. And when we met again, I had already met Cruz de Jesus Bonilla, and I was working on a couple of the songs that we ended up recording. And then I met Nick, and we just really found that not only that we were coming out with ideas that we liked, but that we were having a good time, that it was something very pleasant as an experience. And I cherished that very much. And little by little, when it was time to call the next musician, it was time to make decisions about, first, there are many talents in New York, but the people, the quality of people, because, and I always say it, and I say with pride, every note that you will hear in this album was made with people that were in a very relaxed and positive environment. We always end up the sessions with a smile, and it was always pleasant. It had a lot of laughter and a lot of sharing. And I think you can feel that in the music, because the main goal that we set up for this was that it was for the dancers, and you don't disappoint the dancer. And I always say that dancers are very honest people. When they're dancing and the music is not hitting them, they take a water break or they make their phone call. But if they feel the music, they keep going. And we many times I would say to Nick, we need to go back to the shop and analyze this tune in this section, because we're losing the audience, I feel. And little by little, we started to add more people, and I feel very, very fortunate, because we have a group of ladies and gentlemen who are incredible human beings, and we have a lot of fun. It's fun music.
It's very interesting. And now I understand that we're gonna have Cruz here, but only the sound of his voice. And so my next question is for Cruz. The percussion of salsa for this album, what was requested? What was your input? How was understanding the concept and to apply your talent to integrate that concept?
Alfonso, I just wanted to mention, because he wanted to talk about his Black is Beautiful, the lyrics. Just
of course.
So he prepared in case he wants to say that first or no. But
awesome, cool.
All right, so I have Cruz on the phone, and he's going to start telling me his thoughts about Black is Beautiful, and I will transmit them to you.
Okay.
So go ahead, Cruz. Okay, hold on. He said that Black is Beautiful, the song, is a work of art. Go ahead. Composed by Cruz de Jesus Bonilla, retired salsa star. And retired singer, band leader, and percussionist. And the other composer is Pablo Mayor, the graduate of the University of North Texas. Arranger, producer, pianist, teacher, and band leader. Okay, wait, say that again. One time. Okay, I got it. Okay, so the goal, or the song Black is Beautiful, was produced with the idea of supporting and helping to advance the cause and the enlightenment of the American society in respect to the situation of African American people throughout American history. And it's composed for all people who care about people of color in this world. Our world. All right. It is also super entertaining. So it not only does it as a song with high ideals, but it's very entertaining. The outstanding performance, or the extraordinary performance of Folklore Urbano Orchestra under the leadership of Pablo Mayor is an outstanding work. In a class of its own. So all of the people who participated in the making of this music and in the performing of this music are professionals in all that they do. And I just want to give some context about why I'm doing this by phone. But Mr. Bonilla has had computer problems, some technical difficulties, and he couldn't join us on this call. So that's why we're resorting to this telephone situation. Yes. So Cruz is also pointing out that the collection of musicians on this work, on this album, are a collection of different nationalities. Pablo's brought together an interesting group of people. Yes, under the say that? Okay, and so it's coordinated for this recording for its final outcome. But thank you, Mr. Cruz, for giving us your perspective on this great song that you put together.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Now, what I'm going to do for people that are now connected, it's to give a little explanation on the song that we're talking about. We got the perception of the person that is behind it. Black is Beautiful was the preamble to the album. And what it does is that it takes us into the heart of the historic birthplaces of salsa, the Spanish Harlem and the Bronx. It was written by him, by Cruz, Chino, Melao, and Pablo Mayor before the events. This is something we just heard. The events that happened here in the United States. And there is a quote by Pablo that I would like to talk about, if you don't mind, Pablo. When Cruz shared the lyrics with me, I started rhythms and sounds which will represent what I have always heard and sense from El Barrio. And now by establishing a community partnership with El Museo del Barrio, we put the song in the hands of the community where these sounds and message resonate the most. Black is Beautiful connects cultures and continents, conveying a message of unity and dialogue to promote the change that our contemporary society needs. Pablo, this is something that arrived at a pivotal moment. And the fact that it was not designed by it specifically, but that it coincides what we were going through means a lot, no?
And also the fact that he wrote these lyrics it was somewhere in the 70s or 80s. And he wrote it for someone and the person didn't respond to it, and he had kept that. And we were doing the album, and he mentioned the song, and to be honest, I didn't find a way to include it into this album, although I liked the message, and we talked for many times. We talked about it until it was having Laurent Hounsavi that one day it was like this makes sense. Laurent is the one who's gonna do it, and we all got so excited. The first arrangement was done with the sound of. I said I need something that because I work with a lot of Afro-Americans in El Barrio, and it was the desire to. I thought about disco music. I thought about funk. I thought about James Brown. I thought about the civil rights movement. And the blend of something that is New Yorker that of course had to be danceable, and when we had the first version, I showed it to Anna and she says, "Cool, but you have Laurent. Maybe you should have some. Maybe you could use an African rhythm." And Laurent had just arrived for recording, and I showed him the tune, and I said, "Laurent, what rhythm could go?" And he said. It took him a second, and he said, "I know what it is." And it was Chikume, and Oreste arrived, and Oreste the percussionist, and Laurent just told him what to do, and it fit so well, and it got so much power just because it was something that that was coming out of us now. It became alive, and then the pandemic came, and we just said, this is the song that we need. This is the moment for this song, and we did the video, which was filmed with cellular phones from all over the world. It was we applied to so many people, and many people responded. Then we have because it was so democratic, we will have some people sending us from nice cameras, and we have something sent from really low quality phones, and we needed to have some sort of unity, and it was actually Carlos Alberto Malagon, our designer, who said it should be black and white. And then we went with the color of Black Lives Matter. It's a specific font in black. And then it became the whole. There are so many stories that are so positive involving this production that is one of those things that you say it was meant to be, because everything was falling into place.
And there are many elements that get together here. Anna, please tell me about something that really caught my attention, because this album is music, but it's more. There is other forms of art. There is dance. We see in that video Daniel Fetequa, who is a very important figure in Latin dance. And there is photography, murals. There are lots of things that get together here. Please tell me about that.
Yes, so Pablo had a really clear vision about this production, not only from the musical standpoint, but he had something visual in his mind from the very beginning. When we were going to premiere the work on stage in February, it was actually right before the pandemic, Pablo was intent on getting images of El Barrio to put behind the screen on the stage to project. And he went with a really good friend of ours, David Bedell, a photographer. He's also works with Pablo as a student. And they spent a whole afternoon in Harlem, walking the streets and taking photos. And they came with this really beautiful collection of images of El Barrio. And Pablo had associations with the images and the music. He connected a lot of each individual song with an image. And one of those photographs happened to be this mural that became the cover of Black is Beautiful. It's on Park Avenue, sort of diagonally across from La Marqueta. Hidden in a little corner, you wouldn't even notice it. It's right next to the Justice Center. And we found this photo and we're like, oh my God, this is the photo for Black is Beautiful. The mural was amazing. We went and we found out who the artist was. It took a lot of investigating because it wasn't obvious. It wasn't written anywhere. It wasn't on the internet. And amazingly enough, the artist turned out to be a Venezuelan named Pablo Calaca, living in Argentina, who was in Minneapolis at the time, was commissioned by the Justice Center, came to New York City for one day to do this mural. And he happens to have a whole article on his website all about salsa music and El Barrio and these really interesting political ideas he has. So I want to say that there's just so many deep connections in this. There's another mural of the butterfly. If you see the cover art for the single Bonita, Naomi Lawrence is this beautiful artist who did this community collective piece of art that's it's a butterfly made from squares, each one sewn by a woman in El Barrio, and it's called Migration is Beautiful. And finally, the iconic Manny Vega, who's done mosaics all over El Barrio. They had a photograph of his Espiritu, one of his really famous, iconic works of the guy dancing on the drum. And he gave us permission to use it in this digital booklet that if you do an album, you get this beautiful digital booklet that I put together with our good friend and consultant, Gustavo Carvajal. And it's just, Pablo, it's the spirit of this neighborhood that has grit and it has cultural vitality. and it has beautiful, colorful people, and all of that is represented in this production.
I really like the concept of people putting their helping from different parts of the world. Because of the pandemic, we are now more like the common folk is more understanding of this separation. But I would imagine that for a musician, there's nothing like having the other musician next to him or in front of him in order to have like an instant feedback. And I want to know, especially, for example, for Laurent, how does that work when you have to contribute to something from a distance and you don't have that immediacy that hold on a second, let me try this differently, but you have to go back and start again and send different times, different versions until you get the result that you need?
Yes, indeed, it was not really easy because Pablo sent me a message and asked me to make video for the songs, and I first started doing making it in my room, and I sent the first video, and he said, "Oh, I would like you to wear the outfit you used to wear for. You have to dress well," because I thought it's just something to make a promotion on smartphone, something like that. But finally, I saw that it's a very nice video who is being prepared by Pablo and all the team. So I make some quick video on the how you say Place de l'Étoile here in Paris. I make some video on a bridge close to La Tour Eiffel. So I sent so many video, and I asked him to choose which one is good for him. Also, we had to talk about the dancers. I just got the idea to bring some dancers from Benin because I thought it will give something new, something different to the video. So I just sent a message to one of my friends a friend of mine in Benin, and I asked him. He is basically salsa dancer, and I asked him if he can dance chenkume. He said, "Oh, chenkume is not my. I can't dance chenkume, but I can find people who can dance chenkume." So he went and searched and found two guys, and so they made some video that they sent me, that I sent to Pablo. The first time it was not very. It's not exactly what Pablo and the editor was needed. So we, how you say,
I asked him again.
Yeah, ask again.
He did it again.
So they dance again and again, and finally we found the good video for the
and a beautiful day. You don't see it in the video, but the sky was so blue. It was incredible. It was painful for the camera guy to put it in black and white.
I am sure you got a lot of footage to complete this video because everybody was sending different versions. So I understand that for editing must have been quite the task. Ruben, let's switch this a little bit. Dime, ¿cuál es la canción con la que más te identificas a nivel personal?
Uy, mire, usted me perdona, Pablo, perdóname.
Just to interrupt, this is only... No, this is only the song like number 1 million that he recorded. So he's incredible.
Pero now that we're talking Black is Beautiful, that has a lot of meaning to current events, so to speak, So yo soy nacido y criado en el barrio donde habían latinos y afroamericanos. Mayormente cuando yo me criaba en los 60 y los 70, bueno, y hasta los 80, yo viví ahí básicamente toda mi vida, viví en el barrio. Hasta hace 15 años que mudé para el Bronx, que es otro barrio. Pues. Igual, ahora hay más hispanos, hay sudamericanos, centroamericanos. Por ejemplo, mis vecinos son nicaragüenses y dominicanas. O sea, antes, no sé, cuando yo me crié en el barrio, era casi todos puertorriqueños los que uno conocía. A vez en cuando se conocía un cubano o un dominicano, pero eran mayormente puertorriqueños y afroamericanos. Entonces, Black is Beautiful, si cualquier canción yo identifico en ese disco, sería esa.
Es un single espectacular. ¿Les parece si rodamos el video?
Sí.
Vamos.
Parece.
Estamos tratando de encontrarla, paciencia. Unos minutitos. Y aquí vamos.
Bueno, mientras van mirando, vamos a ver si...
Ahí está Daniel Fetecua bailando, increíble la coreografía que hizo, además en pleno corazón de la Gran Manzana.
Espérense un momento de menú. ¿Ya ahí lo oyen?
Sí.
Ay, Dios mío.
You know black is beautiful. You know black is free. You know black is wonderful. Let's make love. Love is beautiful. Let's make love. Love can conquer all. Love is love. Very love. In our love, we'll have enough to be free. You know black is beautiful. You know black is beautiful. Come along with me. You know black is wonderful. If your love is free, let's make love. Love is so wonderful. Let's make love. Love is beautiful. Let's make love. Love can conquer all. Love is God. Let's remember when back in the beginning. Let's remember when we were dreaming and screaming. Let's remember when we were waiting and believing to be free, to be free, to be free. Let's remember when back in the beginning. Let's remember when we were dreaming and screaming. Let's remember when we were waiting and believing to be free, to be free, to be free. Let's spread love. Love is wonderful. Let's spread love. Love is beautiful. Let's spread love. Love can conquer all. Love is God. Sèche coco. Sèche coco. Sèche coco. Sèche coco.
You know, black is beautiful, Papa. I love that.
Yeah, Deborah.
Deborah,
The Bronx.
is this your favorite song in the album, the one that you connect to more?
I gotta tell you the truth. When I had to study the songs so that we would know them for the show, I was in Florida, and at that time everything was very splintered in my mind. But when I sat down to study the songs, I texted Pablo and Nick and I said, this whole album is unbelievable. And really, it's not a artistic cliche, that I'm trying to say, or, I just really felt that all of the songs, because there's so many salseros they repeat songs from the past, and that's to be respected. You turn on classical music, right? And those people, they know the composer and what time period, and they have it indexed, and they're very meticulous, and I think we should be like that too about our music. But it was just refreshing to hear new songs, really new songs, so well done, very simple, like Pablo said, very organic, make you just want to get up and dance. And so for me, it's really hard. If I would say, well, Pablo and Nick know which is my favorite song. But I also
tell us which song. Come on, tell us. Which song?
Do tell.
It's a very machista song, but I fell in love with it. I was like, oh my God, this song is amazing. It's Ábreme la puerta. It's fabulous.
Sonido mi corazón. Jainardo song.
Sonido de mi corazón. But I also love Bonita because it gives something to the woman who's on the dance floor. You get dressed, and you're going out to dance. I know for me as a musician, oh my God, a crisp October to go and do a gig and get dressed and perfume, and there's a whole thing going on there, and you enter the club, boom, and you hear Bonita. Wow, it makes a woman feel like, wow, I'm so glad I came, so I'm so glad I'm here. I'm so glad I'm hearing this. I'm so glad I got dressed because, it's affirming that this is us. This is la cultura. You know what I mean? La mujer se viste para ir al club a ver salsa, salsa, it's a whole vibe, So really the whole album. And then when I heard Laurent's, you had put that part in there, the African music, that's so beautiful, so soothing. And you know, when people think of African music from Africa, it's always booyah, you know, kind of. And to hear those harmonies, and I could just envision La Montaña, you know, the mountains over there, and that did a lot for me because did my DNA, and my son did it first, and what showed up was Benin. in the DNA, Benin showed up. Oh my God. And so when I heard that particular little piece that you put in the video, to hear Africa like that, you know, instead of that Tarzan thing they're always trying to show us, ridiculous, you know, it was just so beautiful. And I really dream of the day that I can get there, you know, to the motherland.
We're gonna be performing there.
I really.
Laurent is working on that part.
Me hacen el favor y me avisan y me llevan. Jainardo, what about you? What's the song that you connect more with?
Well, I could say it's the same one that Deborah was talking about. I mean, not besides singing.
It's a great song. Big song.
Not just because I'm the one who's singing it, but you know, it's like describes this guy that see this beautiful woman, and he's been like kind of like not necessarily stalking her, but he had been checking her out for a while, and now he's been able to finally approach her. He finally got the guts to approach her, and you know, in many situations we have felt like that. So I really identify with that one.
Can I say about the? Oh, I'm sorry, Pablo. Can I say about the artwork? Pablo chose that fire escape, thinking of the serenata on that tune. I don't know if you knew about that, Jainardo, but Pablo has a vision of the guy calling up to the top floor of the apartment building, knocking at the door of the woman he's after.
It's looking like, si sabes que yo estoy tocando, ¿por qué me dejas aquí afuera esperando, mamá?
I love that. I love that part.
But if I may, Alfonso, I would like to just mention all the musicians that have participated, because it's an incredible honor for me, and I wouldn't want to forget at this point to mention them. So I'm just going to read Ruben Rodriguez in the bass, Alex Apollo Ayala, which is part of one song that we did with the invitation of Los Tenemos de la 21, which we will be talking, but he was on bass, and Junior Terry also was part of the album in one piece. The rest was pretty much Maestro Ruben Rodriguez. Oreste Abrantes, who not only he played all the percussion, but he also is part of a lot of the breaks and the interesting part about this music in terms of percussion, and that is his responsibility, that's his creativity. Nestor Gomez, who is Colombian, and we have a tune where we put Colombian porro from the Caribbean coast of Colombia, and all the cumbia drums were played by Nestor Gomez, who I've been working for many years. He's my brother. Laurent Hounsavi from Benin on vocals, Jainardo Batista on vocals from Puerto Rico, Deborah Resto from New York, Puerto Rico, Cruz de Jesus Bonilla, who is a composer, and he sang in one of his compositions that he did with me. We have on trombones, we have Maestro Eddie Venegas, we have Leonardo Govin, who participated also in a couple of songs from Cuba, and we have Rafi Malkiel, also a great friend from many years. We have on baritone sax Antonio Horta. He also, in a couple of tunes, he played alto sax in El Bolero que cantó Deborah. We have on trumpets Scott Inglebright, who did most of the trumpets, but then we invited Guido Gonzalez, who has a couple of solos, and he played in one more tune. We have Ana Povich Mayor on flute. We have Steve Okendo also on trumpet. I don't want to forget of Steve. He recorded in a couple of songs. And then from Los Pleneros de la 21, Juan Gutierrez, who who came out with the coro, and the idea was this song Imagínate Tú is called, and it's about el barrio where it was in the past and where it is now, and I wanted that presence now, and to me it was important to have Los Pleneros, who I have been playing with for the last 3 years almost, and the idea was that we're Folklore Urbano is playing, but llegaron Los Pleneros de la 21, the Pleneros from la 21, an institution of more than 35 years in New York promoting the Puerto Rican culture. They were present in this piece. And with them came Alex Apollo on bass, Ivan Renta, baritone sax and tenor sax, and Omi Ramos on trombone, the voice of Carlos Espada on chorus, Nelson Mateo Gonzalez, who played the timbala, and all the panderos, well, and the repicador, and then Juan Gutierrez, who put all the panderos, el primo y el seguidor, and el huicharo was Nelson as well. The thing I'm not forgetting, it was mixed by Eddie Marrero, the edition by Jose Limber Garces, my brother from Colombia, who I've been working with. He did some of the editing of the voices.
We forgot Armando Jimenez, Pablo, from Cali.
Armando Jimenez, who was part of the chorus, and he's leading. He's one of our guest singers on the song Mete Mano Ahí. Thank you, Ana.
Y Rafi Maciel.
Yeah, I did mention, but I'm mentioning him again on trombone, Rafi Maciel. I think this is it.
It takes a village, right? Nick, when we get all of this information of all of these musicians from the perspective of who is the executive producer of this album, how was to take care of all of that, the aspect of bringing everybody together to sit with Pablo and oversee the steps that were needed in order to progress with the project?
Well, because of everybody's high level of professionalism, it was as Pablo said, I'm going to quote him, it was very organic. The people who came into the studio are very experienced. They knew what needed to be done. I was very impressed by most of the musicians who could come in, sit down, look at a piece of music for the first time, and pretty much will read it down. And then we would have to go back and at their request often. So this is one of the things I really respect about the level of professionalism of these musicians. Pablo and I would we'd hear it, we'd record it, and we'd want to move on. And I can think of Scott Engelbright as an example. And he would go, I want to go back to that measure in the mambo. I want to do it again. It didn't come out the way I wanted to. And of course, Pablo would go and do another take of that particular passage that Scott or any of the musicians wanted to redo. So it was very enlightening for me to see this high level of musicianship in action. And it just made the process go a lot easier. Pablo had the Herculean task of having to edit all of this. So the fact that you had this level of musicianship made his job a lot easier.
Nice. I think we should be reading some of the questions that people have been writing during this session. Sadis R. Spitia Ricardo. What was the inspiration for Bonita? I guess that song is going to be a very strong single.
So can I respond to that?
Sure.
Okay, so Bonita was actually the first song that Pablo and I worked on.
Oh.
As Pablo mentioned earlier, I was his arranging student. I was learning how to arrange music from Pablo. And one day he said to me, "Do you want to collaborate?" Well, how could I say no? So the first thing we did was he presented me with Bonita. And Bonita had all the music written no lyrics. So he said, let's write some lyrics for this. And so I started thinking, and I wrote down some ideas. And as we continued to work on the ideas, it was to tell the story of the young woman who is going out to a dance and looking for love. Basically, she's looking for love. So our job in writing this song was to give her character so that you could picture her with a flower in her hair, who's young and beautiful and shapely, and everybody wants to dance with her. And so we really wanted to tell this story in a way that would stick in people's minds and give them the image of this young woman. But the interesting part of the way we did it was that we told the story through the eyes of the young man who wants to fall in love with her. So he's the one telling the story about, I'm looking at you, you're the first one at the dance, and I want to talk to you, and I notice you.
But also, if I could add, she's difficult.
Oh.
The guy, the lyrics talk about how she goes home by herself. It's not that it happened. No, it's he's been observing her for a long time, and he decides that it's time to try to dance with her.
Interesting. Ana, Goody Veringer, Facebook question: ¿Dónde puedo escuchar y comprar el disco?
This is a shout out to DJ Guri Guri, and I think Ottawa, is it? We met back in Canada way back when touring with Folklore Urbano, and he's asking where to buy the discs. Just giving a shout out. So we have a platform called Bandcamp. I don't know, a lot of people, some people are familiar with Bandcamp. We have this CD up there, and if you buy the album, you get the digital booklet. It's also on iTunes. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Music. It will soon be on every major digital platform and every store around the world. It takes time to get into certain stores, but today it is definitely on iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify.
But if you buy it in Bandcamp, what happens, Anna?
You can pay more for the album if you buy it at Bandcamp, and that we love, right, Nick and Pablo?
Of course.
It doesn't take a cut, basically.
Because we all know what goes into productions as artists, especially at this time in the world, in history. It's not easy for artists, and we very much appreciate the support from our listeners. And Bandcamp is really, it really benefits the independent artist. We're very appreciative of that platform. Thank you.
Before we close the session, is there any of you that would like to say something?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
It is one person that I have not mentioned that is very important to again, it's an organic thing, and it's about people who just come and join, and it feels right. To people, Gustavo Carvajal, who has given us so much support to be able to communicate with you right now. To Diana Vargas, and for what she's been organizing, and I know Diana for a long time, and I'm very happy that she's been able to co-work with us in this process. And to Richie Briñez, who produced an incredible video that you're about to see, and who has always given me personally a lot of support, and somebody I respect very much. And I didn't know, but he's a great artist, and he did a really special video, and I will always thank him for that.
That's wonderful.
Alfonso, I want to close saying that this production is so incredibly meaningful for all of us, and we hope that certainly transmits to the audience. But from the musicians that were specifically chosen for this production, having Laurent, having a West African Parisian singer on the album, having Ruben, a legendary bassist who's played with everyone in the history of Latin jazz and salsa, having just this incredible mix of people, of human beings, of cultures, of rhythms, planeros, there's just so many important things that mean a lot in the world right now. The lyrics of this music, we didn't talk about Imagínate tú, we didn't talk about Viva la Vida, but it's really about embracing the immigrant, celebrating our diversity, celebrating our differences, and the resilience of the people of New York City. And I think we can all relate to that at this moment in time. And we want this to be a way to build bridges, to create positivism in the world. It's a time to celebrate our traditions and our humanity.
And also, I want to say that this is a show, and this band is ready. I mean, right now, Laurent is on call. He's waiting for me to give the cue, and he will fly. We're booking already next year. So understand that this is something that is so new, and I have to sell my band, and I do it with a lot of pride. This is a show that everyone is going to like.
I can't wait to see this show live. Must be amazing.
And I don't know about you guys, but I think it's time to celebrate and dance. I think we're all feeling that at this key moment in history and in the United States. Certainly, we're ready. We're ready to dance, and this music is to dance. That's what it is.
And that is the perfect note to close today. El Barrio Project-SALSA is something that is going to bring us back to that feeling of dancing and being happy. I want to thank Pablo, Ana, and Diana Vargas, press media advisor for this event. This has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you. Thank you so much for letting me be part of it.
Thank you, Alfonso.
And good night. Be safe.
Gracias.
Good night.
Adios. Gracias.
Here's the video.
Here's the video.
Hi, my name is Pablo Mayor. Just hold that note and just El Barrio Project-SALSA is a new production of Folklore Urbano NYC. It's an expression of my life as a salsero, growing up in Cali, Colombia. Having performed for many years with the legendary Cuban band Orchestra Broadway, with the establishment from Puerto Rico, Los Pioneros de la 21, I have the need to make people dance. The driving force behind the rhythm section of El Barrio Project-SALSA is New York City-born percussionist Resto. And the music was inspired by the traditions of New York City's neighborhoods, Spanish Harlem, El Barrio, and the Bronx, the places where salsa was born. And the album comes out of a spirit of collaboration, most importantly with Nick Chavarria. Yes.
I hope to be great. Thank you.
Ábreme la puerta, nena, sabes que soy yo tocando. Jainardo Batista brings his Puerto Rican heritage and his experience singing Afro-Cuban music here in New York. El sonido de mi corazón. He lends a sound to this production that blends all those experiences. Zúmbalo, Pablito. Ábreme la puerta, nena. Sabes que soy yo tocando. Si sabes que soy yo tocando.
Ella siempre viene primerita al baile. Su cuerpo es obra de arte.
The beauty of Laurent's West African language, found in Benin, really touched me. His Spanish color with French and foreign accents gave a special color to the melodies that we were writing.
Guanillo, Foyopo, Bom Bom. Yepa!
My meeting in Paris with West African singer Laurent Hounsavi made me consider taking a multicultural approach to this album. Black is beautiful, bridges Africa and the Americas.
You know black is beautiful. You know black is free. You know black is wonderful. Come along with me. Let's spread love. Love is wonderful. Let's spread love. Love is beautiful. Let's spread love. Love can conquer all. Love is love. With our love, we'll have enough to be free. You know black is beautiful.
Romanticism is still very present in my life.
Hoy las flores no preguntan si has llorado. Y el sol siente y se abstiene mi calentón.
Beautiful and seasoned voice of Deborah Resto from Puerto Rico allowed Nick and I to explore traditional sound.
Cha-cha-cha, no pensaba que pudiera ser tan feliz. Si me quieren tirar para abajo, yo poco le doy mente. Yo sigo con mi trabajo, de algún modo salgo al frente.
The Barrio Project is a celebration of life. To the eyes of the immigrant who overcomes adversity, hope, nation, music, which is the lifeline of all of us.
Ya se acabó, güey.
How you say that's the end in phone?
That was such a great ending.
Gracias.